You'll find that the first term responsibility around in the 15th, 16th century in Europe as a result of an excessive deforestation. So there, the idea actually of sustainability was coming from forestry with a very simple rule: never cut more trees out of the forest than trees are grown if you do not want to run out of trees one day. That's a very simple and easy to communicate explanation.
After a while, all these landowners become very rich because of the demand for palm oil, and that's sustainable. And for the last 3-4 years, Felda has been globalized and corporatized. So there was a scheme after that, all these small landowners give up their land, give it to a corporation in return for shares, and they are listed on the stock exchange. So if you are a pioneering landowner, you will now be very, very rich and very sustainable, because from that plot of land that you went to open in the hinterland, out of it. Then palm oil is very close to my heart, and I've done some work on it, and I'm very interested to see sustainable palm oil.
What is your experience?
For those who are not familiar with PFC, it is a non-government, non-profit organization based in Geneva, and it supports sustainable forest management, which is all independently verified. And PFC is the world's largest forest certification system because 2/3 of the certified forests in the world are PFC. Of course, there's also FSC for those of you who are more familiar with that. One important development, I suppose, for especially while we're in Indonesia. Indonesia is also a member of PFC, and they've just recently completed their standards, their own country standards, which are now being subject to review by independent parties. There are more countries, Thailand, Myanmar, Nepal, even India, who attended our PFC General Assembly meeting recently. They're all interested, even Vietnam, they're also interested in looking at how they can also look at establishing the standards. In fact, for PFC, we've now got some group, because once the standards have been approved and they meet international standards, then you'll have your own country standard, you maintain sovereignty of it, but then that's where you can then start promoting it and ensure that that's filtered out through the community.
Allow me to introduce a bit about the RSPO. RSPO is an international organization on sustainable palm oil. So it was established in 2004 as a business initiative. So to respond to the negative perception on palm oil surrounding the year of 1997, 1998. So the business took action to respond to those negative perception. I think the rationale is very simple, because it will affect the business anyway, that those negative perception. Like in Indonesia, for example, we always see the logo of halal in end products, in food, for example. RSPO also has this RSPO trademark. So those products, be it margarine, shampoo, or what's called cooking oil, which carries this RSPO trademark, means that these end products use RSPO certified palm oil as an ingredient. So we cannot avoid palm oil, and in fact boycotting palm oil may not be solution, but probably supporting sustainable palm oil will be the way forward.
I don't know which side I am. Looking at the UN Global Compact, that is sort of, that's an NGO stuff, isn't it? I think we are now more or less talking about using the same languages more and more. The colleagues from Myanmar before were saying that the motto of CSR is, was it people, profit and planet? And also we have a GROW campaign. This is a food justice campaign, yeah? And the motto is food, life, planet. Well, actually only one word that's different between us, profit. But that's a big word. So what do we deal with profit, and how do we work with people whose main interest, there are other interests of course, is to make profits. Now, don't know whether people know about Oxfam, but just very shortly. We are a confederation of 17 affiliates. So this is Oxfam Great Britain, Oxfam Norway, Oxfam Australia, and other Oxfams. And the ones working in Indonesia, there are 4 big Oxfams working, but we are working on the same joint country strategy. But when I talk to my friends in London, it says like, oh, I work for Oxfam now. The shop. Some of you travel to Europe or to Australia as well. You probably know Oxfam shops.
Thank you very much. And I want to add something. A recent publication of Oxfam America. It's really worth to read. It's about, the name is Who Keeps the Profit of Vietnamese Rice Farming. Came just out, and you'll find for sure on your webpage. It's worth to read because I think you can apply it to other countries here as well.
I'm wearing 2 hats here today. One is a board of governors of the Cambodian Chamber of Commerce, chairman of our CSR committee, and also as a practitioner. My company, SRP International Group, has been involved in development of plantations in Cambodia under ELCs, economic land concessions, which have been a source of contention. And much of the press that's out there on Cambodian land grabbing surrounds ELCs. And we were able to demonstrate that we do indeed have all of the elements that we need to solve those problems, and we're effectively able to implement a system by which we did not have wide-scale land conflicts. But it is very much an ongoing process. It isn't a single event. From a practitioner standpoint, there was a comment made this morning by Thomas that CSR is not a cost, it's an investment. And if you had talked to me 10 years ago, I would have argued that you're crazy. Today, I can demonstrate exactly why that is the case, and with the experiences in Cambodia. Taking a look at CSR from a strategic standpoint, as a commercial operator, for-profit operation, corporate social responsibility provides us 3 basic things. One, in our frontier markets, it reduces risk. By getting out ahead of problems such as potential land conflicts, having systems in place to manage existing occupants of the land, whether they be legal occupants or illegal occupants, they're there.
Organic sweets, bars, cereals from Thailand. Now you told me you are recently listed also at Walmart under their bio and organic food program.
I start the business by think about the way of Buddhism and the philosophy of my working sufficient economy, and I am the vegetarian for 26 years. And secondly, we start the business that think about the food security, because that means I start the organic food.
See, this is very important subject, sustainable agriculture, and this is the way we do our business in most part of the world. It is not what business we do, it is how we do the business. That is very important. And one of the important subject when we talk about sustainable agriculture is farmer. You know, like I am just will talk a little bit about small holding, small or medium-sized farmer, which is there in most of the Southeast Asian countries. Like you say, Vietnam, Indonesia, Laos, Cambodia and all.
Absolutely. Our approach to this was we pursued FSC certification in Cambodia. We were the first ones to achieve an FSC certificate in Cambodia. The problem that you have when you move people off of land is it becomes a business model. There's a business proposition there. If an economic land concession is coming in and you know that they're going to pay you to leave, then squatters move in. So you have to not only pay the original occupants, you have to pay all of their friends and neighbors who came to live with them. And by coming through and saying that we're not going to move anyone, we threw a wrench in that business model. And we worked with the local government, and we were able to implement in Cambodia what got a very cool name, the leopard skin approach, where there are little spots all over our map which are occupied by villagers. These people were there before, they had farms established, And they're very good stewards to help us manage our situation. They're also workers who work for our operation. All of this facilitates our process, makes things easier, saves us money. But literally, it would have cost us, we estimate, $750 to $1 million to move people off. In Cambodia, you have a 10,000 hectare constraint on any single concession. So we couldn't get above the amount of land that we had. However, we don't have $150,000 in the process that we implement. It took a lot of time, it took a lot of patience and thought, but it was a substantial improvement from a financial standpoint.
My name is Karina. I'm coming from the Swedish Standards Institute in Sweden, north of Europe. It's really, really great to be here and to hear all about the local and regional initiatives and standards and procedures being developed. I'm managing a regional program covering 4 of the Southeast Asian countries. And what I just would like to add is that within the program that we are running on behalf of the Swedish government, is that it's also really important to be involved on the international arena or on the international level. Because what we see is that in our program we use the ISO standard because the Swedish Standards Institute is part of ISO, and there are many, many other very good standards and regulations and policies developed around the world. But what we see is that there are mostly people from government agencies represented in the international level.
My name is Sita Supomo. I'm currently Program Director for Sustainable Development Governance at Kemitraan. That is a Partnership for Governance Reform in English. It's a multi-stakeholders organization and established by private sector, government through Bapenas, as well as NGOs.
Actually, I have a question for Shah. Malaysia has been coming with a lot of these biomass conversion projects of late. I'd like to ask you if you could share what are the levers that the government is using in terms of incentives and penalties for the farmers and such. The second thing is, I guess, this whole biomass conversion projects will enhance the income stream of the farmers. So what's the business model around this and what's the value proposition?
And there is also a new ministry called Green Technology Ministry. So biomass technology industry is now a promoted high priority industry. If anyone wants to invest in Malaysia based on biomass quality, you will get 100% IPA. I mean, all your investment tax allowance, you get it off your profits.
With regard to free prior informed consent, RSPO principle and criteria already incorporated the FPIC requirement.
I just want to say that I think sustainability is the new normal.
Yes.
And because it's not just market access, it's also changing market expectations, so it is a necessity. On the certifications, from the point of view of smallholders, it could be quite challenging because that is expensive as well. There's a cost to that. And this is a role probably not just for the bigger companies to support, but the national government in terms of facilitating that. So maybe also like group certifications, which is, I know that's the direction.
Proved to be quite effective, and it gives them access to markets that they wouldn't otherwise have access to, and access to capital, and which translates into foreign direct investment that they would not otherwise have access to. Thank you very much.
For the section of agriculture, I think the food security is the main thing for CSR, and CSR not the CSR in the project, but must go to the spiritual, to process, and to the lifestyle.
Thank you very much. Better it cannot be. Thank you all participants, and we will have a short coffee break coming back to the next final session. Thank you very much. Statements, views, positions on the topic. How collective action, what we heard today very often, is the key. How this can be done in practice, which models they already applied, and how the necessary interaction and common collective action also among ASEAN countries can be a benefit and a profit and
an advantage. Yeah, I'm working for GIZ. Maybe just 2 words on GIZ. We are a service provider when it comes to issues of sustainable development. We are having exactly one shareholder, which is the German government, and we do projects on behalf of the German government mainly, but we do as well projects on behalf of other private and public donors and as well private enterprises. Of course, we deal as well when it comes to inclusive business. You have very often non-classical partnerships that you do. I mean, normally companies are strongly used to engage with each other. I mean, you have contracts with other companies. You have all kinds of business relationships with other companies, but to a lesser extent, you engage with NGOs or you engage with communities, community organizations, etc. And very often, when you, for example, look at reaching with a distribution channel VOP, you need to think about other kinds of partners, and this is something that becomes very interesting and is a challenge for a lot of companies. And there, I believe we can play a crucial role in promoting these partnerships.
I would like to give the microphone just to keep our sequence.
I work for the Institute for Human Rights in Business. I'm the Southeast Asia Senior Advisor. And I'd like to just tell you about some of the multi-stakeholder initiatives that the Institute has initiated, which I think resonates here in the ASEAN region. One is something called the Dhaka Principles. These are principles, basic principles to be considered for migrant labor. And of course, in ASEAN, it's not just ASEAN countries sending migrant labor outside of ASEAN. It's within ASEAN. We have sending countries such as Indonesia, Philippines, and Myanmar, and then we have receiving countries such as Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. So this is a great resonance. This was a multi-stakeholder dialogue, and we had governments, we had trade unions, civil society, businesses all coming together to put together these principles, which you can find on our website. And they're very basic and have to do with a lot to do with recruitment agencies, best practices with recruitment agencies, and also very fundamental principles such as many times people who work with migrant workers will know this. Migrant workers, when they work in a company, the employer will take away their identity document, their passport.
I'm very grateful to Thomas in particular because I think he's very great. I represent a trade union. And if you see from the discussion earlier this morning to now, I think it is very rare that the word trade union is used. And therefore I want to thank you, Donna, for repeatedly pointing out the role of the trade union in regard to human rights. And I think the fact is that trade unions today are not welcome in a real sense. Because when I was looking at the tabulation there, I mean, here you have to remember, UNIDO is a United Nations organization. And indeed, there is not one single reference about trade union, nor are there specific reference about the ILO Conventions of Trade Union Rights.
I think we were asked to reflect also a little bit on the cross-cutting issues or the challenges. I think we pick up often from the UN perspective the poverty issue, and I would like to emphasize here the point that also our new DG, Mr. Lee, is pushing, is that saying that industrial development in the end is needed for lasting solutions to poverty. We need industries, manufacturing enterprises to provide jobs that in the end provide predictable income so that people can buy food, energy, goods and services, and in the end start to prosper and benefit from economic development.
Say that we are a good combination of panelists. From my point of view, I would share in a bit difference about our organization structure, about the way of working in a collective action approach, and also the area of problem we are tackling. Before that, I would like to introduce a brief about what organization we founded. NICE was founded in grouped by a group of impact investors.
You have here in 6 topics, and this is being developed in Vietnam together with BCCI of a project that is really impressive how it works. You find here examples, topics you are absolutely familiar in simple words, and all what we want to do you is, you find on your table these stickers in yellow or in blue, it does not matter. You have 12 coins, call it coins, only take one. If I see somebody with 2, we will throw him out. We should invest time, brain power, little money, but a lot of passion in future most. That paying taxes and duties properly is important for us, and we really have to emphasize this. And then just put the dot here. Are already some questions after seeing this, that CSR finally, that's a lot, but it's not rocket science. But it is, as Renee said, and actually all of you agreed, it has so many different perspectives, angles, and whenever you look from some side, the other one starts to change. So it's like puppets on the string. If you cannot move a single string without have an effect on the others.
Kami akan sharing dengan pengalaman dan peran positif dari Hero Union terhadap mengatasi korupsi atau serikit di perusahaan kami.
I would like to share our experience and also the positive role of the trade union, especially in combating the corruption.